And the reason it's in there is because you want to hold opinions that are the most sexually attractive opinions that there are. And so that's going to be true whether you want to believe in 3 gods or 1 god or 16 gods. It's going to be whether or not you're going to believe in global warming or not. This isn't to say that there aren't people on these issues that are accurate. There are. And it isn't to say that there isn't a real live reality out there that has that can't be discerned, because there is. Sometimes the limits of our ability to discern, may leave us into a black fog of opinion on some certain issues. But the truth of the matter is that there's a real objective world out there, and human beings are capable of understanding what that world is. So Galileo understood quite clearly what that world looked like, and the head of the Catholic Church was going to have none of it. And so what we're going to see is that there's an evolutionary algorithm, that the human brain was not designed to be accurate. It was designed to be adaptive. It was designed to think, feel, experience, and behave in ways that optimize survival and reproductive success. It is not designed to be a Mr. Spock and give you nothing other than probabilities and objective opinions. And so it's going to turn out that human beings are going to sniff the wind as to where they are most likely to be best positioned socially with respect to the dominance hierarchy from within where they are receiving protection and where they are likely to get mates. And they are very likely to have the opinions of that dominance hierarchy and to reject the opinions of the outside hierarchy. So that's where the confirmation bias is going to come from. It's going to come from a mind that is designed to sniff its genetic best interests rather than try to figure out the facts. So this is I'm glad that the guy is even talking about evolution in this, because evolution wasn't even considered through the last 40 years of the investigations of the confirmation bias. But evolutionary psychology is going to provide the only possible explanation for why this could happen, and the explanation is pretty obvious when you actually look at it, because you can see it is not a dispassionate ignorance of the inability of the brain to integrate new information and change its mind. What you see is people digging in and getting angry, and vitriol on in-group, out-group delineations of opinion, and so this indicates that this has to do with the social, psychological, in-group, out-group dynamic and protecting your status within a group. So so the limits of the human mind. This is why people will believe all kinds of things that I would never believe, for example, because I'm not part of that hierarchy. And so, whatever that hierarchy is. And so, therefore, my mind can remain unbiased to the evidence, and then I can make the inferences with the equipment that I've been given by evolution to reason, which is the integration of data according to the law of non-contradiction. And so, my brain can do that, so can yours, so can a lot of people's. But the more you have essentially genetic investment in with a dominance hierarchy, and that dominance hierarchy, to the extent that dominance hierarchy is inaccurate, there will be a lot of pressure on your brain in terms of its ability to actually reason effectively.
This is why people should call and ask you questions, because it's an outside perspective.
I should think so. Absolutely. Don't just ask me. We got a lot of remarkable people out there that could see the world quite clearly in a lot of respects, and so a lot of smart people to learn from.
That's what it does. It seeks the truth to the extent that the truth would appear to be a profitable endeavor to seek. When it turns out that the truth does not appear to be a profitable endeavor to seek, it tucks its head in the sand, okay, and and gathers around the other lemmings and makes sure that it does what's in its personal best interest, which is to not question and not seek the truth honestly, and instead be morally outraged at the people that seek truths that are uncomfortable. And so that is the state of affairs of psychology, specifically self-science, social science in general, and a great deal of the sociological processes that are going on in the world more broadly. And so anyway, that's what I have to say about human self-insight and its limitations as well as its capacities for the future. We do have the capacity to get better at this, just like any observer of any complex situation or any complex action. The more you know, the better you are, and the better you are, the more valuable your insights can become. So this is
an extremely well-meaning person, but the nature of evolutionary psychology's 50,000 watt halogen lamp aimed at man-woman dynamics, of which we were a couple of young people trying to navigate those conflicts of interest. That was extremely uncomfortable for her, and as a result, we parted ways because it was the right thing to do, and very amicably. However, she never became educated. So if you can imagine this extremely intelligent, extremely capable individual was literally in at the ground floor at clinical evolutionary psychology with me every day for years and never listened. Okay, so let's look at that. Okay, and I didn't particularly push it. I would just keep chirp it up, perfectly pleasant about it. But I watched this extraordinary defensiveness, of which you can sniff what's on the other side of it now, more clearly to me, more formally. The notion is she was attempting to essentially vote down the fact that such discussions were legitimate, and we're going to try to push them to the side and ignore their validity because they were shedding light on the very conflicts that we were having. This is very much akin to the way our far leftist professor doesn't want to hear anything about behavior genetics. So remember that a reason itself is limited, that the motivation to seek the truth is itself not some independent floating entity out there that guides human mental action. The truth of the matter is that the reasoning process itself is guided by cost-benefit analytics, and that people believe in all kinds of crazy things, and literally do believe in all kinds of crazy things, because their nervous system can sniff that it's in their best interest to believe in crazy things. Now, this is well described by Sam Harris in The Moral Landscape, about how people can be, because their minds are made up of independent neural circuits, they can have neural circuits that know the kind of they don't want to know. Okay. So to some of us,
you're saying they can actually, people can actually see, almost not consciously but subconsciously see into the future, not in the future, but that they're going to have to rethink so many assumptions that it's not worth it to expend that energy.
Actually, I would not say it was the energy. The point is that there's going to be some cataclysmic changes in status, and they're going to lose some. Okay, so they can smell that. Like if you're the far leftist Berkeley professor, and I come sitting down and I sit down with you with the information that indicates, beyond any shadow of any doubt, that individual differences in people are genetic, and that in fact there is incredibly good correlation coefficient between what people actually contribute and what it is that they get paid. Okay, and that in fact the economy is